What's up, guys? Thanks for joining me for another video. Today is going to be the second week of what we discussed last video on codependency, where I gave you my story and how I learned to unlearn my codependency habits. In case you guys missed that last video, for any of you that are new or maybe just missed out last week, video's right above here. Feel free to click it and revert back to this video. But for those of you, if it's your first time, I welcome you. For those of you, if you're back, as always, welcome back. My name is Joe. I'm an entrepreneur, investor, business, life, and relationship coach. So today, like I said, we're going to be discussing finding your inner child and accepting your inner child. Now, this is the thing, guys. This is a judgment-free zone here. We love to share our thoughts as a community, but in a respectful way. I ask you guys that you keep an open mind, try not to be too hard on yourselves, and just be open to your feelings throughout this process. I'm going to give you the process that I learned when I went through some of my childhood trauma therapy. Listen, guys, there's no right or wrong way. This isn't the only answer. This is just what I learned, and it was very helpful for me. So I'm hoping that I could bring it to you, but like I said, I don't know everything, guys. This is just my process. Hopefully along the way I can help a few of you with your process. So the first thing that we do want to go over before we get started is your inner child is always going to be a part of you, okay? From what I learned, it's always going to be there because it's a big part of your life growing up. And that hard wiring that came from your childhood comes out later in life, but it's always going to be there. So the insecurities we have, the feelings of you're not sure what's happening or why you're acting this way, whatever the case may be, it's always going to be there. You're going to be battling that for the rest of your life. I have my issues that I battle with my entire life. They're never going to go away. There's no cure. It's a part of us. That child, that inner child that this is rooted from, will be there and be a part of you forever. Now, that's a great thing. That's a beautiful thing. But for those of us that maybe have some bad habits, it could also be somewhat frustrating, right? So what we learned was you can't eliminate it, but you can control it. So what we're going to do is become aware of those feelings, connect them, and then once we're aware, we could start to understand when we're feeling or acting a certain way, like, okay, I know what this is about. Let's take a step back. This is why I'm feeling this way. This is the cause of it. I understand why I feel this way sometimes now. So I have a better idea of how to wrap my hands around it and keep it under control rather than going crazy because I don't know why I'm acting this way and what's wrong with me. So the biggest thing for me was when I started to learn how to understand some of maybe the insecurities that I had in life or some of the impulsive behavior I had in life, in terms of being triggered over certain emotional things. I didn't get where it was coming from, but I noticed a pattern that it tended to happen, sometimes not, sometimes yes. But then when I kind of started to learn how I connected those feelings to childhood, it made sense. Because then I realized it was a part of me. Not only did I learn to accept myself for who I was and how I was feeling, and it was always going to be there, learned how to not be so hard on myself about it because there was nothing that I could do about it. It's a part of me. I couldn't control what happened in the past. And when I understood that it was just a part of me, I was a little easier on myself. And then I took the necessary steps to kind of control it when it happened. Okay, I know what's happening now. Let me take a second. Let me take a step back and have a little conversation with myself as to why it's happening. And once you kind of say, like, all right, now I understand what's happening. It's not what I think it is. This is the reason it's happening. It's not the reality. It helps you calm down a bit quicker, and it helps you kind of reframe your mind and rethink things in a different way that maybe didn't make sense before. So we're going to get started, guys. And before we do, like I said, if you could just be somewhere maybe that you're not being interrupted, there's not a dog jumping on your leg or one of your children yanking at your arm or, somebody having a conversation with you in the background, somewhere quiet, somewhere you could be in your own space, in your own feelings and in your own head to have your own thoughts uninterrupted. It's not going to take a long time. You can practice this on your own time. Like I said, guys, biggest thing, open mind, non-judgmental. Don't be hard on yourselves. It's okay to let yourself feel every once in a while, but this is part of the process. So, just want to tell you guys that I appreciate you for everything that you do and showing up to this video. I know it may not be easy. It wasn't easy for me either, but you can practice this. You can watch it more than once. It's an exercise you can do all the time. So, what I want you guys to do first is close your eyes and just take a moment to breathe. Take a few seconds, take a few big breaths inside and out, and keep your eyes closed. I want you to think about something currently that maybe is bothering you or bringing you pain. Doesn't have to be anything in particular. It's the first thing that comes to mind. Take a second and just think about it, okay? And allow yourself to feel for a second. Now, I want you to pinpoint what part of your body is feeling that pain. There's no right or wrong answer for this. Just whatever you're feeling. Everyone feels it different. Some people it's their arm. Some people it's their gut. For me, it was my gut. Some people it's their shoulder. Some people it's their ear. It doesn't, there's no right or wrong answer. But I want you to pinpoint that place and be confident you know where it is. Perfect. So now I want you to focus on that pain. Just focus on the feeling. Don't focus on too many events. Don't think too much into it. Just focus on what that feeling feels like. Now, I want you to try, first thing that comes to mind, there's no right or wrong answer. I want you to think of an event in your life that when you were younger, where you felt the pain in that same spot, and it felt the same way. Take a second and think about it. First thing that comes to mind, I want you to sit with it for a second. Think about the first time you can think of from earlier in your life, when you were a child, that you felt the same type of pain in the same place. I want you to focus on that. I want you to imagine what it felt like, and I want you to kind of replay that scenario in your head briefly. I know this could be hard for some of you guys. It was hard for me too, but it's part of the process. Now, I want you to imagine yourself as an adult currently being there, maybe as a spirit, or maybe just as someone that your childhood self could see and nobody else, being there for this image and this instance that you had as yourself as a child. And I want you to reach your hand out to them for them to grab it. And I want you to say something to them from the bottom of your heart. If you had to give them any guidance as to if they were going to be walking with you for the rest of your lives, what's the one thing that you would say to them? Would you hug them? Would you just reach your hand out? Tell them it's okay? Hold them close? Whatever the case may be. No right or wrong answer, guys, but I want you to feel this. Now just sit with that for a second, and I want everybody to open their eyes. And this is the thing when I said your childhood self is going to be with you for the rest of your life. This child that you just connected is a part of you, and it's a part of a lot of your deep roots and hard wiring in your life. And I was able to connect with mine. I hope you were able to as well. This is an exercise you can actually practice. And this is the biggest thing, guys. And I want you to learn to kind of do this. And I do this all the time. Sometimes I want you to envision your childhood self being with you at almost all times. And you being so much of as a mentor to them and protecting them and teaching them how to live their life emotionally with strength. And how would you live your life for them? How would you teach them this is what we can do together, and this is how I protect you, and this is emotionally how we can feel? What does that look like while you're bringing them through your life at all times? Sometimes if I'm having a rough day and I'm thinking about things and I can be driving, I may just turn over to my passenger seat and envision my childhood self sitting there, give myself a quick smile and give myself a quick pound. Everything's going to be okay, dude. We got this. We're going to get through this together. Because that's the thing. You two are going to get through everything in life going forward together. You're together in this now. Okay? You maybe, or at least I did. I don't know about you guys. I felt alone as a child. Sometimes I feel alone now. But it doesn't feel so lonely when we're together. Right? And now this is the first steps of you accepting your childhood self and learning how to love them and really learning how to get to know them because in essence, you're taking the steps to really connect with them and get to know them. And this is where you really start to understand where some of these feelings come from throughout life. And it's not a 30-second process. It's constant. Like I said, the one thing that I was told, these feelings, this connection with your childhood self, it's maintenance for the rest of your life, because we were born with this. And this is what we had to deal with, really. So there's no like, oh, here's a pill, or here's an exercise and you're cured. It's not like that. I have to do these kind of things all the time. But it's very fulfilling, because for the first time in my life, I was very scared to find out who I really was as a child, because I never wanted to relive any of those feelings. But as an adult, and once I matured, I realized that connecting with those feelings actually made me understand how I feel now as an adult, and helps me empathize those feelings, accept who I was as a child and what I went through, because I couldn't change it. Taught me how to forgive others, because once I was empathetic of my own feelings, I realized that life is too long you don't have to necessarily speak to people to forgive them, because spiritually you become free when you forgive. We know that. But it also teaches you to go through life accepting yourself when you accept your childhood self. And then it's the first steps into really finding true love for yourself. And that's where we start to get into the other side of the deep work, where we start to build this foundation of self-love, independence, being alone, and really getting to know yourself and being okay, and not being so afraid of people pleasing and others being mad at you, and sacrificing everything for people to treat you like garbage, and being a potential prey for dangerous people like narcissistic people. When we are concrete and solid in self-love, and I don't mean selfish self-love, I mean real, genuine, accepting myself for who I am, knowing what value I bring, because I'm a beautiful person regardless of who wants me to be a certain way and who doesn't. We're not bothered by these codependent behaviors anymore. We break free of them, because when we love ourselves enough to make another person an accessory to our love, right? Because love is great. You want to find someone to love, but you don't want them to be the source of love for yourself. You want to love yourself, and you want this person to supplement the love for yourself, because self-love comes first. Because if I don't love myself enough, there's no way that I'm going to be able to love you sufficiently like you deserve either. So it's not really fair to either one of us. So I really hope this exercise was helpful. Feel free to do it as much as you want in a quiet space, and take some time to talk to your childhood self. What would you guys talk about? That's big too. Envision them sometimes, you guys just being together, maybe when there's a tough time. You're in this together. You guys got this. We got this. That's what I say a lot. But in the coming weeks, we're going to get into new self-work. We're going to start getting into the steps of how you can reframe your mind to start accepting yourself overall, and building that self-love, and most importantly, that independence, learning how to be alone. Because once you learn how to be alone, you have no idea how many chains break, and how much more freedom you have emotionally to make decisions without the fear of being alone. Because that fear of being alone and that fear of not being accepted is where our codependency issues really hold us back. Good for us. It takes a little time, it takes a little work, and it takes a little, self-reflection and honesty, but it's very rewarding. It took me years to really get there, and I'm still working it. I'm not perfect, guys. I'm not this super elite, emotionally independent person that has no problems. Listen, I still have my days. Like I had told you before, it's constant work. I have bad days too. It flares up and I'm like, I've been doing so good. What the heck? My coach told me it's going to be a battle for the rest of your life. But as you continue to work it, it gets easier and easier and easier with time, to where it's almost minimal. But I want to thank you guys for watching yet again another video. Feel free to drop your comments and your story, or how you felt, to the other people. You've been great as a community. For those of you that are new, I welcome you to our community. Some of the stories you guys have had are absolutely great. Looking forward to the next video with you guys. Appreciate you as always. See you on the next video.